Welcome to the first episode in what promises to be a very special series. We are working in partnership with F&F and we're sitting down with some familiar faces to chat fashion, interiors, family and personal style and all the ways we style it out when things don't quite go to plan. So today we're joined by the ever stylish Sarah Corbett-Winder and interiors pro, and I should say, and ever stylish too, Katherine Ormerod, to talk about bringing personality into your wardrobe and your home, even when you're short on time, budget or square footage, whether it's recovering from a last-minute outfit mishap or styling your way out of a rental flat with beige carpets and zero storage. They've got the tips, tricks, and tales to make it work. Welcome both. So nice to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Before we start, we always talk about what we're wearing, and everyone's rocking their F&F today.
I'm liking what we're vibing.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Sarah, the jacket.
I mean, isn't she great? I've actually
So great.
sized up 2 sizes, which I think is quite key here. Turned her sleeves back just for a bit of a contrast. And I mean, she's just very chic. And a lovely ribbed white tee. I really like a bit of ribbing. And then a wide leg jean.
The jeans. I forgot the jeans at F&F as well. They're really
yeah.
cool.
I'd say size down in the jean and 2 size up in the jacket.
Nice, good to know.
Many thanks.
Obviously, this is a little strapless top with a matching skirt. Love a co-ord for summer.
You're very,
Yeah.
You know, I love that. You throw it in the suitcase, pop it on with a pair of sandals. Easy peasy.
Love that. Well, I've also gone for a co-ord. I mean, there's so many options. I'm doing 4 of these, so I've got to really mind that website. There's I've got to take as much as I can.
Yeah.
There's loads.
There really is. Yeah.
Let's start with personal style. Both of you have got very distinct personal styles. How would you describe it when it comes to fashion and interiors? How do you characterize it, Katherine?
God, it's so difficult, isn't it? But I mean, firstly, definitely eclectic. Obviously, you
Yes,
step
yeah.
in through my door and you're like, do they go? Yes, they do.
Yeah, to me, they go.
And secondly, I'd say romantic, and I don't really mean that in that kind of like Little House on the Prairie vibe. I mean more that things have a narrative. Things have been picked up somewhere, they've been fixed, I've made them. You know, it's that idea of there's a sense of romance to it. And then I guess the final one is imperfect. And an element of that is because I rent. So, you know, the reality is you're not living in the most polished, perfect properties, especially if you want to maximize your square footage. Things are a little bit rough around the edges. But on the flip side, I also like that. I like the lived-in look. I'm not looking for a shiny palace. That is just not my vibe.
I said to you before that the theme of the podcast, the theme of this campaign is style it out. And you were like, well, that's basically my entire life.
That's my entire
Great,
life.
let's talk about that.
There's not a day where I'm not styling it out. Literally,
You like the challenge.
I do, and like you're cycling along, and you're like, oh God, like the penny drops that you've dropped a ball and a plate is smashing, but you're running here. But it's okay. You're going to do this, and and like. I think that's just the reality. You can't be everything to everyone at every time, at every moment. Yeah. And sometimes you're going to have to paper over the cracks.
It's so true. We're all just styling it out all the time.
We are. And just, remember that no one else is really managing absolutely everything you are. No one else is walking in your shoes. So even if it looks perfect on social media or from afar, it just isn't.
We got very profound very quickly. I like
Sorry.
it. No, I'm here for the depth.
I'm not very good at small talk, guys.
Sarah, personal style.
Fun and playful, and I feel that both in fashion and interiors, and I think that it brings me joy, and I like to share that joy. I'd say tonal, and when I say that, I mean everyone kind of has to be from the same family, whether it be an outfit or a room. They all talk to each other, they're cousins, they're relatives, they're in the same sort of universe. And then thirdly, I would just say me. Like, I can only be me, you can only be you. And I think that's also like so important these days. We all get so, influenced and, led in different directions. But my style is me and no one else can be me. And I think it's owning that and working out what that is to you and being that and having the confidence to be that as well.
I mean, you are somebody in particular who I think people look at and think exactly that you have such a unique sense of personal style. How did you hone that? Like, was that always there?
I think as I got older, I've definitely got more confident. And I think I went through a stage of being like, I want to be like this, I want to be like that, I want to be da-da-da. And actually someone said to me, just be you. And I was like, I kind of was a bit like, oh, which? And I was like, actually, I sat down, I was like, she's so right. And I think it wasn't like sort of, I'd say maybe like a bit of a midlife crisis of like, okay, who am I? What do I want to be? And you then have to really answer, like, what are you about? Not what do you want to be? And I think when you work that out, you have this inner confidence and you're a bit like, this is me and I'll be me. And like, you can be Katherine and I can be, I can't be you.
Absolutely not. You're inimitable, darling.
Yeah.
Like,
Many
honestly.
try.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, none of us, that's the beauty. We've all got our own, we're all our own person.
Has your personal style evolved? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I've gone through, like, jumped through the house. I worked in fashion for
I
years,
feel like
you
you've
know.
had so many
There are-
amazing.
there are many-
Let's talk about the
Yeah,
eras.
come on.
What are the
The
worst,
eras.
the faux pas that you come back
Just
to?
like Madonna, you know, there's been some reinvention, you know, and I started off in fashion when it was very much that French Vogue editor look. I wore the skinny jeans and the spike heels every single day, very Isabel Marante.
I've got an image of you like that.
Like a shoulder in my leather jacket, you know, and that was my vibe. I very much went down that Emmanuel whole thing. And then something happened. I got super 70s. I think I spent quite a lot of time in LA. At a certain point, I was doing a lot of celebrity interviews at one of the magazines that I worked on. And I spent a lot of time out there, and I started wearing like really deep V-necks, and it was all a bit slinky and, you know, lots of gold jewelry. Then I had my babies and, you know, things changed again. The evolution journey of lots of women in their late 20s through to late 30s. And you just kind of come out the other end, a bit like a butterfly out of the chrysalis, and a butterfly that's like, I'm going to show my colours, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
I love listening to women as well, also in their 50s and their 60s, who have that and they talk about how freeing it is. And I'm like, that sounds lovely. Let's get there.
Yeah. I think it's the minute you stop sort of caring about what other people think, your world opens up, and it's actually what you like and how you want to dress, how you want to make your home look, as opposed to, what should it look like? I'm worried my friend will think that looks like. What do you actually want?
So true. I want to come back to home, but while we're on fashion, styling it out, what have been, I mean, we've all had so many disasters, but what are ones that spring to mind? And how have you, I mean, there's a difference between terrible fashion from the past and then moments when you've had to style things out, right? So when you think back, you're like, I can't believe I did that. What is the one item that you're like, why did I wear that?
So I'd start with a short dress, okay? And as the night went on, you just see the dress I could be cutting her away throughout the night. Yeah. And by the end of the night, I'd literally be in a belt.
Were you actually cutting? Were you taking scissors to a nightclub?
I'd be at like a house party or a nightclub or somewhere, and the more drinks I'd had, the shorter she'd go. But in the morning, I'd be like, whoa, I really wasn't wearing a dress last night. I look back and I'm like, you know, how is that even acceptable?
That's taking DIY to like
literally DIY to a whole new level.
Katherine?
I'm just about 5'3". And I went through a big platforms stage. Now I do still wear them sometimes, but it's you know, it is. But it was like with everything.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't ever a flat moment. It was as if I was operating on like a faux level.
Do you think you're wanting to be taller?
I was wanting to be taller.
It was stilts.
Yeah, it was. I was wanting to be able to see over the bar. You know,
But aren't we all?
It is. It's tricky being petite. I think, you know, and there's lots of things that don't work, and you have to take up trouser hems and all of this different things. And I think that I took it to too far of an extreme. Looking back,
there's a photo of me from when I was, I don't know, teenager at some point. And do you remember those fingerless gloves that you used to be able to buy, but the knitted ones, and they had like little mitten things that like could pop over the side. And I used to wear them with like a clubbing outfit. Yeah. That with like a top and skirt.
That's very indie sleeves. Isn't
very
it?
Avril
Very
Lavigne.
Just one glove like that.
Yeah. Also very Madonna.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Fine. She's coming up a lot. Talking about styling it out, I'm going to tell a story about when I massively styled it out to get your juices flowing. So I interned at Vogue when I was living in Paris. I was studying English and French, and got absolutely soaked in pouring rain, like absolutely soaked. And it was, I can remember exactly what I was wearing. This is 2013. I was wearing some burgundy jeans, and I was wearing a white long t-shirt that I had tucked into the jeans, and a little black leather gilet.
Cool.
Can you picture this 2013 vibe?
Yeah. I'm in.
Anyway, when I say I got caught in a downpour, it was like catastrophic. Like somebody might as well have done that ice bucket challenge over my head. I was so soaked. But the t-shirt was like almost dress-like. So went into Vogue actually in had to take off the trousers as soon as I got there. And ended up in quite a nice long white t-shirt situation with a black gilet.
Really
quite cool.
It's actually similar to my styling out moment. My now husband, and I were away for New Year, and the dress I had brought with me for New Year was disastrous. It was, I mean, it shouldn't have even come in the suitcase. It shouldn't have even been on my body. It was not acceptable. So I was like, okay, wardrobe emergency. Anyway, so I actually stole his white shirt and wore it as a dress.
Love.
Poor boy had to come down in a t-shirt.
I was going to say, what did he wear?
Your shirt. But I just got out the door before him with a red lip. And I was like, hi.
Also, that is a sexy look. Like, if in
great,
doubt,
with a
borrow
good
from the
heel.
boys.
Yeah. Yeah,
Love
yeah.
that. With a platform. There you go.
Yeah.
And Katherine, what about you?
Mine is always to do with not having tried on the outfit before the moment. Always rushing. So it's that you try it on. They're definitely 4 inches too long. You try on, it definitely doesn't quite do up. And like, there are so many instances where I've gone out and like the top button of a jean doesn't do up. So it's like you've had your shirt tucked in, but you tuck it over and have like this flap, or you've got a belt and no one sees behind the gap.
It's quite nice to be able to breathe that way, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is. But I always carry a needle and thread.
Do you
I have stitched up
maybe,
other people's dresses. I have taken up my trousers. Like, I could probably do a pair of trousers in 5 minutes flat.
Wow.
So I do think there's always a way to style it out. If you have a few small skills,
Yeah, that's a very good skill
it is
to-
actually very helpful.
That is so clever. So that's just like in your daily
Always,
kit.
always, every single suitcase, every single handbag.
For
there's
a wedding.
little one.
I don't think I've ever been to a wedding where
absolutely.
someone's dress hasn't broken.
Exactly. Well, and I've always got a safety pin. I've always got those things. You know, you just have them on hand.
That's very
Never got a
clever.
pen, but I've always got a safety pin.
Needle and thread.
It's 2025. Use a pen, exactly.
Needle and
Although
thread.
actually, do you know what Hodge always has is one of those Tide pens, which, you know, for stain removers, which is
Yes.
actually also a
Very,
really good thing to
very
have.
good one. Very
Yeah,
good
yeah.
one.
That's
Very grown
good.
up. to have
Yeah,
that.
very mature.
I like it. What about, Sarah, you were talking about the white t-shirt that you've got from F&F that you love. What about those kind of staples that can carry you through those moments? You know, we just talked about a white shirt. The denim. I mean, there's so many
I think
things.
a really good
but
jean.
Yeah.
I also think, so I think a really good jean, I also just think a really good red lipstick as well. It just really can change any outfit, or just something to slick your hair back. That can instantly change, like you in that with your hair slicked back, totally different look.
Exactly.
And
Bit
a
of
red
gold
lip.
jewellery and you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Or like if you chuck this jacket over the top of your, I think just like a couple of key, like a jean, I think a good white t-shirt, like your skirt with a white tee would be lovely. And this
nice.
jacket.
It's true, actually. I'm just thinking about how much we could mix and match this entire
We've actually
cycle
done
with
rather
that jacket
well.
on.
Yeah, we could all.
Good for us. Obviously, both of you have a very unique sense of style, but we all like to dip into the trends, don't we? In home, in fashion. So, I mean, F&F is a really affordable way to do that. Come on, you dip your toes in, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
toes.
absolutely. I
Firmly
mean, the
dipped.
idea that you might find something that revolutionises your wardrobe is the holy grail of the whole thing, isn't it?
totally.
Like, that's part of the reason we're all into it.
And I always think not getting overwhelmed by the trends, because it can be like, oh my God, another one. So I think it's like filtering what you want to invest in and what you believe is you and can be bring into your world.
There's a happy mix between the two, isn't there? Because actually, I was just thinking about all of our outfits. These are technically all trend, but equally, they're all unique to us and feel very us. And we probably wouldn't have worn them 5 years ago, and that's what makes them trend, because things evolve and shapes change.
And you're open to new things
Exactly.
because of trend.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly
and because, like you were saying with colours, you see them more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like that shape, you probably wouldn't have worn 4 years ago.
because it wasn't a trend.
Yeah, it wasn't a trend.
Yeah, waistcoats.
Yeah.
Big trend. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about interiors now.
Yeah.
Katherine, you are renowned for reinventing rental properties. You
Yes.
have a
You
book
are
on the whole
amazing at it.
subject. You are amazing at it. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to run through all of your rules, but I mean, that is effectively styling out in its essence, isn't it? How did that even begin? I mean, presumably necessity is the mother of invention in that capacity.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah,
Yeah.
I found myself renting again with 2 young children, and because we needed a bit more space, we ended up choosing a property which was really run down. And I remember I was actually really heavily pregnant. You know, for some people, their environment doesn't have an impact on their mood. It doesn't touch their mental health. It doesn't. And I understand that. But for me, it is so instrumental in how I feel. And I think that's
It's
also...
your like root, isn't it?
It's my root. It's my anchor. I also work from home. I have a very domestic life outside of, a bit of zhuzh here and there. So it's really, really important to me. And I was just like, I cannot. So one day I just thought, right, what can I do? What can I do? And I just started, and I pulled at that piece of thread.
Had you been doing stuff like that before? Or this was...
I mean, I've always been able to stitch. I was raised by a family that had a lot of skills. My family were all in the trades. My grandparents part raised us, and they could do everything. My great-grandmother...
It was an option.
It was, and she taught me how to make carpet. She made the shag
so
pole
many
carpet for her whole house in a really nice way. My granddad as well taught me how to do woodwork. It wasn't just because I was a girl I couldn't do things.
Yeah.
So, but obviously that kind of like paused.
Yes.
What I
Yeah,
had.
yeah, yeah.
London,
Fair enough.
It's not very
London
normal to
magazine,
do in your 20s.
London
Yeah.
magazine career, all of that stuff. And then suddenly I was in this thing, and I was like, do you know what? I think I can do this. And I got out some of my tools, and my husband actually did a menswear degree, so we had a sewing machine at home, and I just started. I taught myself how to make curtains. I taught myself how to do light plumbing, light electrical work, wallpapering, painted every room in the entire house, changed sealants, just every little thing that I saw was a problem. I was like, I can do it.
That's amazing.
That must feel so great as well to be like, I've done this.
Are they perfect, my curtains? No, they are not.
Sure.
Is there an inch and a half between some of them? Absolutely, yes.
That's quite a lot, yeah.
But someone once said to me, imperfections make things perfect.
They do,
Oh,
and
that's nice,
I
isn't it?
honestly believe that. And sure, yes, if it was going to be on the cover of a magazine, I could understand how. But you know, I also live with 2 young boys, and it's like this isn't the moment in my life where things have to be immaculate. And I just don't see. I'm not an immaculate person either.
But it's real as well.
It's real.
And it's yours,
real.
and you created it.
It's real. And I'm like, you know, so that all happened. And then our landlord raised the rent by 70%.
Oh, wow.
70%.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the post-COVID kicker for our family. So we had to move out, and I did it again.
Oh, wow.
So I just did it, and I've now been in that house for 2.5 years. But yeah, so that there was a moment where I was like, oh God. And then another moment I was like, you know, this is a gift. It's an amazing opportunity, and I'm just getting better and better. And actually my plan is to take a sabbatical at the later part of this year and next year, and I'm going to do an introduction to construction.
Oh my God, stop.
Oh, right, she really is one. It's amazing.
So my dream is to build my own house, and I love that idea of my own blood, sweat and tears being involved in it. And I just think that idea of pioneer spirit and these young kids being like, oh, my dad built this house, and my boys will be like, my mum built this house.
That's so cool. Wow, you've really got the bug.
Yeah, I really have. I think it's something that I'm wildly passionate about. And who'd have thought it in your early 40s? Who would have thought that's when you found your niche?
How cool.
You know, and you've had all these other careers and, you know, here it is. I want to do something tangible with my hands.
But I think it's because it's so important to you, because it's your home. And I think that as you get older, that you just realise that, you know, you're in it for so much of the time, and you're raising your children in it, and it's a real identity of you as well.
I believe so, absolutely.
Some people I appreciate don't feel that way, but I think I'm similar to you. It's very an important thing.
It's an extension of who you
Yeah.
are, right? Yeah. Obviously, not everybody is as capable as you. So, for both of you, what are your tips for, you know, if you're living in a property, or whether it's rented or not, but, you know, looking at a room and thinking, I don't know where to start with this, to, you know, inject a bit of interest, glamour. What are your tips? What should people be buying? What should they be looking for to kind
Where
of
do you start?
Well,
elevate
I
the
think,
space?
and I'm a really impatient person. I mean, I want everything done yesterday, but I think one of the real key things to do, and I've really learnt from this, is like give yourself some time, like sit in the room and work out how you want the room to work, and don't rush it, and just sort of plan and think. But one thing I learned really, really early on is my husband and I, when we first got together, we lived in a flat, and we got so inspired by Pinterest, and the whole flat was blue. Everything was blue. It was all like crisscross, Anyway, we followed every single trend possible, and within like 2 months, we both looked at each other, we were like, I don't like it. And I think you really need to work out what you're not going to get bored of, and don't just be really, really sensitive to following those trends, and give yourself time to breathe and work it all out. Don't rush. And it's, you're the one making the pace. I think would be my first, like, don't get overwhelmed.
And then in terms of what to add to your space,
So-
what are the small things that can make an impact?
I always think things en masse. So, for example, cover a wall with plates, and actually F&F have got some really lovely blue plates, which, you know, if you had sort of 10 of them on a wall, that would be a lovely feature. And think slightly outside of the box. For me, I think art is really, really important, and anything can be art. One of my son's school shoes, we lost one. It's a sensitive subject, but one, I accidentally put it in the bin because I was being too busy. So we've got one little penny loafer, but that little penny loafer is now on top of a picture, and it's a piece of art. And it's like, adding all those memories and bringing all those things.
Haven't you got, I'm thinking of your proposal.
Yeah, exactly. So my husband proposed to me on a coffee cup that said, marry me. And so we framed that. And I think, you know, that doesn't, you put anything in a frame.
So special.
And then it's a bit like you then create your world. I think it's about creating your world that you're going to be around and be inspired by and live
things
in.
that feel personal.
Yeah.
Catherine, what about you?
Oh, definitely, I agree with the art
So important.
idea, but actually that's literally where I start, as in I collect lots of different things. So I'll be like, right, this room is going to house this collection. And that's the colour.
So what kind of thing?
So I've got a lot of pieces of art where it's basically bums in swimming pools. So it's people from behind.
Yeah.
So think Hockney. It's not
Yeah,
quite
no,
as
I
racy as it
understood what you
sounds.
meant.
It's not
Thank
quite
you.
as racy as it sounds. But it's so that kind of like very cool, calm blues. So that kind of creates a mood immediately. And I'm going to put that collection in there, and I'm going to draw out X, Y, and Z. I've got some other absolute cacophonous, huge canvases with all these different colours. And what you'll do is be like, I like those 3 tones in there, and that's where I'm going to build my palette from. And you're like, this is where this piece fits most beautifully in this home, and let's expand from that natural positioning.
I love that, because I always have this argument with my husband when we're looking at art, and he's like, where would this go? And I'm like, no, we don't buy art based on where it goes. We buy art because we love it, and then we work it out.
There's always room on your walls.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
What about quick wins? So that's about your art collection. What about? I mean, you've already mentioned the gorgeous F&F plates. What else can you get? I'm gonna whip out an F&F cushion. Unfortunately, my bum is too large to fit with both this and myself on the chair. Very comfortable.
Very nice.
They've got such a good range of pieces, haven't they? This is a great neutral.
Just adding a couple of those onto your sofa and boom, you're done.
Exactly that. Yeah. What else is a quick win?
I love to entertain. That's one of my most favourite things to do.
Many skills.
Well,
it's
actually really why I love home, because I love bringing people into a space.
But you do it to like a different level. Like Catherine will make the kind of, there'll be menus, there'll be embroidered napkins.
Yeah, everyone goes home with something personalised. Sometimes I'll hand glaze plates and have them all fired for everyone. So, I do lots of things like that. But often I am entertaining en masse. So, when you're looking at creating a beautiful tablescape like that, maybe you've got one, vintage, beautiful tablecloth, but you want 12 to 16 placemats. For me, F&F is the place to go for that, because they might be £3 or £4. They're beautiful. They've got some really gorgeous seagrass circular ones in at the moment, which I love, and very, very easy to layer. And then for things like the candles, the tea lights, I always have a couple of packs just waiting, because there's nothing that creates a mood better than candlelight. And let's be honest, hides a multitude of sins, i.e. peeling wallpaper and all sorts of strangeness.
Where the dog jumped on the wall.
Exactly, and that's it's a one-stop shop for all of those kinds of things, F&F. So whenever I would go in, that's really what I'm looking for.
As you were talking, I was also taking a sip of water, and I was just admiring. I don't know if you can
They've
tell.
got
They've got a
lovely-
little pink sheen to
they
them
have.
as well.
Very
So pretty.
chic.
They've got great tableware. These mugs as well, we should say. Sorry, that is also a very nice size.
Good for your outfit.
Yeah.
And then you were saying about the candles, there is a really lovely, I think it's black pepper and amber, but just get that burning. And I think we all forget about smell, but that is like the initial thing when you walk into a house or a room that we're like, once you're in there,
Yeah, so true. You like to entertain as well.
Love to entertain.
What are your entertaining tips?
I love to do things like put some fruit on the table, for example, a load of tomatoes or a load of oranges or lemons, and just add. I always get bits of china as well. I collect things not in your terms of art, but more. So I collect china fruit and china dogs. So quite often I like to add unexpected things to the table, the things that you're probably not meant to add, but we make the rules, don't we?
Let's talk about specific rooms. Let's talk about a bedroom.
Yeah.
What can you do to make it feel like you without splurging?
Exactly. Well, linen is amazing. Obviously,
Yeah.
you
And
change your bed linen, it changes the entire feeling of the room. And I feel that specifically even more so with children's rooms, because obviously it has you've got an opportunity to maybe go a little wilder with colour or trims, things like that. But, whether you go for that kind of hotel-y, starchy white feeling, or you go for a bold print,
bright
a stripe.
red.
Exactly, a bright red. I mean, that would be fabulous.
lovely.
Wouldn't it? I love a stripe as well. Things like that. All of those little details that bring something different. And it is honestly like changing a dress on a room.
So
Totally.
true.
It has such a completely different feel.
And you just have like a focus. And I think the same in a bathroom, just changing the towels.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a game
So true.
changer, and it just changes the whole way the room feels.
Lighting as well.
Yeah, I'm
Key lighting.
Yeah, it's so funny. My husband and I have very different attitudes on
Do you?
lighting.
In what way?
He likes it so low that I can't see my own
that's me.
hand.
That's me.
Like
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry.
But would you
like
turn the
this.
big light on?
So The
You
thing
try
is,
to.
I do a lot of stitching work and like
Okay, you
typing
like- yeah,
and
yeah,
things
okay.
like that. And I'm like literally doing it as if by candlelight we're in the war in there because he's like, don't
blackout.
turn the big light on.
Is he worried about the cost of the light? Or he doesn't
Absolutely
like
not.
no, it's
He's
necessary.
absolutely, he's like
Okay.
sensorially. it
Okay,
is
you're breaking the
disgusting.
mood.
And I
That's me.
understand
Yeah.
that. I do understand it.
I really relate to
and
that.
I agree. But it's nice to have two paces.
Yes,
Totally, you've got
totally.
your warmer, your little lamps, the things that make it feel homey and relaxed. But also sometimes, guys, it gets dark at 3:30 p.m.
Yeah,
It needs must.
Yeah,
I get it,
must.
yeah. Sarah, is lighting important to you?
Very important. And I think it really does create a mood. And I think just changing some lamps can, again, change a whole room. I think lamps in pairs also are really nice. So like on a fireplace can be really nice, or on a table. I always think a lamp in a kitchen is very important.
I love a lamp in a kitchen.
Me too.
Lamp on an island.
Underrated.
Isn't it?
So
But
cozy.
it just makes it yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, home is all about being cozy.
Yeah.
And these days you can get cordless lamps and all of that
Yeah.
kind of thing as well. It makes such a big difference. Even if you're renting, you don't have to think about the electrical works and so on.
I actually spend like probably, if you add it all up, a ridiculous amount of time going around and turning on lamps and lighting candles.
Do you quite enjoy that though?
I
Is it
like the result. I mean, not the actual physical switching on. Like, yeah. No,
It's
I,
quite
it's
a ritualistic.
ritualistic.
It's
Yeah.
ritualistic,
Isn't it?
and it's
Yeah.
also I can't relax in my
Opening up
space.
your, like,
yes,
yeah.
it's that I wouldn't do it like if I'm working at home. I wouldn't do it in the day, and then it's like okay, shut the laptop, light the candles, turn on the lamps, and it's you know, I can set my mood.
I think it's
Turn
really
off the big
important.
light.
Turn off the big
Yeah,
light.
turn on the
okay.
big light.
That's
Yeah,
what we're-
candles are so important, aren't they?
Yeah, tea lights as well, like you said before.
Yeah.
Love. What about, we've talked at the very beginning about constraints, right? Whether that's budgetary or space when it comes to your home. What can you do to inject a bit of your own personality if you are struggling with any of those things?
There are so many things. Honestly, I've made so many changes to my home that have cost under £10. You know, there are lots and lots of ways to do things on a budget. And, you know, that could be from painting a piece of furniture in a tester pot, you know.
Yes, it's true. They go a long way. God,
They really do go a long
Yeah.
way. My advice is always make sure you sand it first and then go over with a microfiber like a cloth to make sure there's no dust, and then just paint on over, and you can
goes bobbly sometimes.
That'll be it.
But it's amazing what you can do with
Yeah.
a small tester pot. £5, you know, it's wonderful. I also I always joke that my entire house is kind of cling filmed because I have a lot of like layered stickers basically everywhere. 420 stickers over tiles in my bathroom
I see,
downstairs.
okay.
I have
That's clever.
sticky back plastic work surfaces. I wrapped my fridge, you know, on
Love
white
that.
goods.
Yeah.
So, and these things again, they're all very, very cost effective. And actually, my surfaces, everyone when I did it, they were like, "Oh, that's going to last a week, 2.5 years." People,
Oh, yeah.
just want to
Mic
say, it's
drop.
still going
Yeah.
strong.
That's amazing.
A theme that probably describes both of you is practical, meeting, playful. I have that here on my notes. That sounds like I whipped
take
it out,
that.
but I like it for you
We're
both.
like form and function.
Yeah, that is you both to a T. So how do you strike the balance, whether it's in your wardrobe, in your home, between the practical and the playful? I feel like that is, I mean, Miss Bananaphone, that is you to the core.
For me, I always do the practicality first. So I'll be like, right, I'm walking far, I need to be in some good comfortable flat shoes. Work out the practicality, and then you can add the fun. I think if you do it the other way around, you get your knickers in a twist and it's all a bit no. So do the practicality, and then you can really push the fun.
What does that
Very
look like
mature.
in terms of your home?
So, for example, I'll know that in the kitchen, so actually we've got a bench seat in our kitchen, and I've got 3 small children who constantly do this, which is really lovely. And I wanted a fabric that you could kind of wipe down. I still wanted it to look nice. We actually went with a cord, but I couldn't find a cord that I sort of connected enough with, but I could find lots of colours that I thought worked. So I took the practicality of it needing to be this deep and a seat they could sit on and something we could wipe down. But we actually then added the fun by making the cord. So there's lots of different coloured stripes going down it, and it brings me joy. It gets wiped, and it's
Happy days.
happy days.
What about you, Katherine, when it comes to wardrobe? Any tips for merging? Ditch the platforms.
Yeah, ditch
That's
the
number one.
platforms. I actually, if I go anywhere, I'm always got a small bag with me and it's got my heels in. Like I am in flat shoes because I cycle everywhere. Like I cycle into West One, like I am on my bike, and you've got to be realistic. I am also, as a Brit, very, very, very passionate about Gore-Tex.
You'll need that in Wales.
Really good raincoat with a hood. Yeah. Nothing silly. Nothing just for Instagram.
You've always got a good raincoat.
Yeah, you always have to have that. And I've always got a scarf that I can put around my head in my bag. All of those things that you have to weatherproof in this country, even if it looks like it is the most divine Valeriac kind of days. The moment you forget that, you are going to be humbled.
London is going to bring you crashing. You will not be laughing down. Do you know what? Like, I brought an umbrella today, but not sunglasses, and I know I'm going to regret that later today when the sun comes out.
That's a better way around. At least you've manifested that.
No, I hate being in the sun without sunglasses.
Do you eat spicy food?
Yeah,
I do too, and we're more sensitive to the sun. Do you know that?
Wow. No.
I'm literally, the sun comes out, I'm like, oh.
Oh, do you know that's it? I always thought it was light-coloured eyes as well and more sun sensitive.
I mean, let's be true, like honest, like I love wearing sunglasses. I'm
literally in them now. It's a good excuse. I love it.
I'm like minus 5 years.
Exactly that. If somebody's feeling overwhelmed by their home, their wardrobe, their what to wear every day, what's your advice for helping them style it out? Does it come back to the advice at the very beginning of just working out what is you?
I think it really does. I mean, it sounds very deep and mature, but I think don't get overwhelmed. Like, it's so easy in our society and today with being shown everything and seeing everything to be like, oh, I want that. Why do I not look like that? Why doesn't my house look like that? And actually, I think there's something great in just almost sitting in the space and just listening to it. I actually read something once where an interior designer said you really need to listen to the space, and it might be, I actually had this with we're moving to Wales in a couple of months, and I was trying to make our kitchen a colour and it just really wasn't working, and I was like, just listen to it, doesn't want to be this colour, just like let it be the colour it wants to be. And I think it's the same with like you and one's wardrobe, like just be honest with yourself and then own it and wear it and have confidence in it.
Curation of anything is all down to the filter. And if you don't know what the filter is, how are you meant to make any kind of decision if something's in or out? And I think with the home, it's often like perceived that we would know like what we like, but actually like sitting down and being like, what colours do I like and why do I like them?
And do I actually like them? Do I think I should like them?
What makes me feel uncomfortable? Bright yellow, purple, two things that make me feel very uncomfortable.
Non-dimmable light bulb.
Sometimes
non-dimmable light bulb. Very uncomfortable. Exactly. Just you start writing down the things that make you feel uncomfortable, and you can write down why they make you feel uncomfortable. It's connecting maybe on a slightly different sensory level to the things that you like, rather than I just saw it here. It's like, what do I like the way that feels. I like the way, you're thinking about things on a tactile level, on all the different senses.
I love that.
And when have you last done that? When does anyone teach you how to do that? Until you do that, until you actually know what you like, how are you ever going to manage it? You can't manage it. It's going to be overwhelming because you don't know what's nice and what's not in your eyes,
I think there is some element to pushing yourself as well, which I think comes with confidence. So for example, in our sitting room, it's all very tonal and like there's sort of a mustard and everyone is from the same family, all talks to each other. And my husband always says to me, it's actually really good to sometimes not like the things you do to start with. Anyway, I took his advice for many years, not wanting to do it. And we needed to change our coffee table. Our child had soiled it with something. Anyway, she needed to be redone. And we went for a really bright green, which made me feel so uncomfortable. And he chose it. Anyway, now I couldn't love it more. I think because I feel like proud that I've pushed myself, and because it goes with the room, because it doesn't. It totally offsets it. And I think sometimes you can have that one thing that just throws it all.
That's like unexpected red theory.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly like that one thing that twists everything up and pumps
or the ugly shoe theory as well.
Exactly. All of those. I'm down for that. I think if you're feeling overwhelmed, probably don't go there first.
I think that's the latest. Once you've got your confidence.
Once we've moved into the advanced level.
Yeah, when you're advanced. And you've got all your
that's grade 8. Don't try it yet. It's for a lot of people listening, they might think, okay, well, that's all very well for them to say that, they collect art or whatever it may be because they know their own taste so well. But I actually think, so my question was going to be, how do you tap into it? But I think you've both given great pieces of advice. I love the idea of listening actually sitting down and thinking, what do I like? Because there's so much inspiration out there, isn't it? It's hard to ignore the noise, both in fashion and
then
interiors.
You go from like this, and then you're just like, and then you just don't do it because you can't. And you're like, I don't know what I like.
But do neither of you get, I'm sure you do, but how do you avoid the temptation of, seeing things on social media? For people people who are like, God, and I love this style. You know, I love the farmhouse look, but I also love the whatever, this super modern look. You must get tempted.
Oh, I think that the eye has to travel, as Dinah Vreeland told us, you know, and there is that element that I'm still open to the idea that I might go on a trip one day to Marrakesh and see something and it will have a profound impact. In fact, the travels that I've done recently, there's so many primary colours around, and that's not really my vibe, but I'm slowly opening my eyes to them.
Do you think that's because you're seeing them more?
Seeing it more, but seeing it in completely different contexts, you know, and like thinking about it from a different way. And you have to, like, the idea that I would be closed off to any form of aesthetic evolution is really depressing.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's being open.
Yeah, and like trends are really fun, and like it's really great to see it. I think it's just that kind of sense of it's going to be organic. It's not going to be from zero to hero. We are not suddenly next week going to go, right, I'm done with this, you know, like forget shabby chic, I'm now Scandi minimalism. Like that, it's just, that's never going to happen.
Take the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
It's those small little changes, and I think that your home evolves with you.
It's never ending.
It's never ending because, you know, you go away on a trip or someone gives you an amazing gift and it might not entirely be up my Strasser, but then you bring it home and suddenly you're like, oh, this pops, this is so exciting. And you might start a brand new collection, you know, and anyway.
Whole new room.
I was about
Exactly.
to say, I'm going to have to paint my kitchen blue after the FNF blue plates.
Yeah,
It's on the
exactly.
wall and then it all has to change. Yeah.
Very
You could add a
Gwyneth,
placemat
that,
with
isn't it?
it.
Very
Actually.
Gwyneth. It's very Gwyneth.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
it. Sounds
But
cool.
you know, it's that thing of holding true to who you are
Yeah.
and all of your experiences and your taste and all of the things you love.
You are your taste.
You are, and like, but being open to like something's going to surprise you. You know,
Yeah, it's
and
so
like,
true.
That's so great.
What about styling it out when it comes to imperfections? I mean, obviously, Katherine, you've spoken about, you know, doing all your grouting, as I don't even have the vocabulary for it. Whatever, tweaking the imperfections in your head, just the stuff in the house that needed doing. You know, so there's a kind of DIY perspective. Sarah, I'm interested in your opinion on this as well. Kind of when things at home aren't
Perfect.
You know, perfect. How do you style it out?
So it's funny because I'm a real perfectionist, but I've kind of learned that actually when things aren't perfect, it's just much more charming. Like we've got this lovely chair that my husband literally found by a skip that someone was throwing away, and he brought it home, and it's sort of black with some rattan, very old school, just very traditional chair. Anyway, you actually can't sit in it because, I mean, as if it would break, but you can pop like a kind of bag on it, whatever, and it's sort of been sealed and banged. But it is, I was saying to him the other day, should we get rid of it? And he was like, I love it so much. And so do I, because it's a memory.
Yeah.
And I think that its arm's about to fall off, but it's just a perfect because it's not perfect. And I think I was saying to actually Katherine before we came on, the amount of bowls I've chipped and cracked and you'd be throwing them all away, and it's just not reality. Like, and it's part of the charm. It adds history. Our kitchen table is wood, and our children have drawn on it, or things have been spilt or burnt. But I love that. It brings character and history,
especially if you've got kids, right? It's going to happen.
Got to embrace their artwork.
Exactly. And like a lot of people don't live in new builds, you know, and in London especially, there's a lot of Victorian stock. So you are living in homes that were probably built in the 1870s, and newsflash, they are not perfect. There are going to maybe be some mild damp. There, you know, there's going to be issues here, there, and everywhere.
That's reality.
That's the reality of it. So work with that, you know. And I think whenever I look at like the most beautiful homes in the south of France or in the Cotswolds or whatever, they're not perfect. You know?
And that's what makes them charming.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And it gives them personality.
I've got an excessive, as you can imagine, amount of handbags, and we had a bit of our kitchen shelving that was left over, and my husband was very adamant not to throw anything away because it could have a roll, which actually was really great, and things are still coming into use. But we turned one of those shelves upside down, and now it's on our landing and it's got all my handbags on. And it's just things like just keeping your eyes open, and just work with what you've got as well. And you'll be amazed at what you can like come up with.
Exactly. And I think everyone's looking for soul in their home, aren't they? They're looking to have that sense of permanence and authenticity. And you can't just immediately click
buy
your
that
fingers
or get
and
that.
have
Yeah,
It's over time. It's building.
it's like a relationship. Like you've got to put your kind of
And it's slow. I mean, I've had this conversation with you before where Sarah's been like, is your house done yet? And I'm like, no, it's still not done. It's still not done. But it takes time, doesn't it?
It takes time. And I think it's enjoy that journey. Otherwise, what's the point? Like it's a process. And I think we've lived in our house now for 3, maybe 4 years, but it'll never be done. Like I'm always moving things around or adding or taking away. And it's a work in progress.
There you go. All right, ladies, I could talk fashion interiors. I was going to say all day. I'm probably going to ask for lots of pieces of advice when we finish this. So I'm looking forward to the continued chat. Thank you both so much for joining us. Quickly before I go, can I ask for one favourite F&F product right now? It can be from what you're wearing. It could be something you've seen on site. What's one thing you're loving that everyone should go and buy now?
This jacket, I'm obsessed. And it's really got a really good sized pocket as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Honestly, I think that jacket.
Hands off my jacket.
Yeah.
Hands off my jacket.
How did I miss it? That's all I've been
I know.
thinking the whole
you'd be
time.
upset, actually, when I came in it.
Well, I'm off to go and find those blue plates.
They're really good.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for listening. For more tips for making fashion and interiors work in real life, head to F&F at Tesco, online or in store. And please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe and tell your friends. And we'll see you next time.